welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that exposes Pakistan's role and nexus in promoting global terrorism and its funding. Here are the headlines. Pakistan's ban of terror outfits Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jamat-ud-Dawa an eyewash. Human rights situation in Pakistan grim, says Human Rights Commission of Pakistan. Clashes erupted between Afghan and Pakistani forces at Durand Line. An Islamic terrorist target minority Christian community in Pakistan. Let's begin the show. In another attempt to continue with the theatrics of finishing terrorism from their soil, the Pakistan government has started working on a draft bill that would permanently ban the mastermind of the Mumbai terror attack, Hafiz Saeed's Jamat-ud-Dawa and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Newsweek South Asia has a report.
The United Nations Security Council's updated list of terrorists and militant groups has 139 entries from Pakistan alone, including outfits like Mumbai attacks mastermind Hafiz Saeed's Lashkar-e-Taiba. This has led the Pakistan government to draft a bill permanently to ban Hafiz Saeed-led Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jamat-ud-Dawa and other groups and individuals on the watch list of the Interior Ministry. The bill will replace the presidential ordinance that banned outfits and people already on the watch list of the Interior Ministry. However, Islamabad High Court recently allowed Saeed's two organizations to work under the ambit of the law, but it did not set aside the government's ban on their activities. Experts believe that the draft bill is just an eyewash to mislead the international community.
Well, it's certainly an eyewash because at one level, Pakistan courts are planning to allow Hafiz Saeed and his newly floated party to contest elections. Then what's the meaning of strengthening the anti-terror act? Because the army is also promoting the entry of Hafiz Saeed in Pakistan polls to be their representatives in a way in the parliament. So obviously it's an eyewash. They're going to do nothing because of the Commonwealth Summit and all the other international meets which are going to happen. So the Pakistani administration, just to hoodwink the world again, is trying this ploy.
Despite a ban by Pakistan, United Nations and other Western countries, terror outfit Jamat-ud-Dawa is openly organizing protests against the United States, India and Israel. The charities of Jamat-ud-Dawa and the Falai Insaniyat include 300 seminaries, schools, hospitals and a publishing house and an ambulance service all across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. These charities are headed by Hafiz Saeed, who has been designated as a terrorist by the United Nations and has a bounty of $10 million on him by the United States since 2012.
Unless the Pakistani administration takes concrete measures against the terrorist network which he operates, all the training camps which he has, and unless it sort of controls Muridke, the headquarters of Hafiz Saeed, all these so-called anti-terror measures against Lashkar-e-Taiba is just a ploy to get the world to feel that they are doing something. Actually, Pakistan is not interested. Hafiz Saeed is and will remain an instrument of furthering their foreign policy in the neighborhood.
The fact remains that Pakistan government continues to be a puppet in the hands of its army. And majority of these terror outfits are backed by the army and inter-service intelligence.
Well, the world knows that since the last 30 odd years, the training which is provided to these terrorists is done by ISI. There's enough evidence that since the 90s, most of the groups, I'm not only talking of Lashkar-e-Taiba, but whether you take Jaish Mohammad or Hizbul Mujahideen, their training was completely organized by personnel from Pakistani Army. Their organization, their networking was planned and run by agents of the ISI in Pakistan. So there is enough evidence how Army and the ISI use these terrorists to further their agenda in the neighboring countries.
India and the United States have accused Pakistan for promoting terror and sheltering these outfits to use them as proxies. Recently, at the Commonwealth Heads of the Government meeting in London, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi warned Pakistan of taking the issue of terrorism seriously and has also mentioned the surgical strikes would be carried out if needed.
Many terror groups have taken shelter in Pakistan and they enjoy the patronage of countries' intelligence agencies and the army. Moving on, the Human Rights Commission of Pakistan has raised concern over the grim situation of human rights in the country. In a report, it has thrown light about the worsening condition of women, children and the minority communities. The growing cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings of political activists remain its major concern. Newsweek South Asia takes a look.
Rising incidents of religious persecution, sexual violence, crackdown on media, murder and extrajudicial killings of political activists has made Pakistan an unsafe nation. A free hand to religious extremists and security forces has silenced voices of dissent. The Human Rights Commission of Pakistan, HRCP, has expressed concern over Pakistan's commitment to protecting human rights. In its annual report, the independent watchdog has highlighted the grim markers of the state of human rights in the country in 2017. An overarching concern is that even where the protection of legislation exists, the persecution and conviction of perpetrators has remained at a very low level. There was also increasing violence associated with the country's blasphemy laws. At least 74 people have been killed in attacks motivated by blasphemy accusations since 1990. Rights groups including HRCP have repeatedly criticized and called for reform or repeal of the controversial blasphemy laws which date back to the British Empire. The crime is punishable by death if the Prophet Mohammad is insulted. Other punishments include a fine or prison term depending on the specific offense. In a high-profile case in April last year, university student Masal Khan was killed and 2 others wounded during a violent mob attack after being accused of committing blasphemy in the northern city of Mardan. In June 2017, an anti-terrorism guard sentenced Taimur Raza, 30, to death for allegedly committing blasphemy on Facebook, the first such case involving social media.
एक ब्लास्फेमी लॉ होता है कि जिसमें जो कोई बिलीफ है जो आर्टिफिशियल के या कोई धार्मिक चिन्हों के ऊपर में, धार्मिक चीज़ों के ऊपर में, कोई बिलीफ के ऊपर में उसकी वायलेशन भी होती है और उसके ऊपर लॉ है पाकिस्तान में, हर कंट्री में उसके ऊपर होता है। पर पाकिस्तान में उस लॉ को काफ़ी मिसयूज़ किया जाता है। 78 डेथ उस मामलों में हो चुकी हैं पाकिस्तान में, क्योंकि उस लॉ को मिनॉरिटीज़ के खिलाफ या किसी को स्कोर सेटल करने के लिए अहमदिया कम्युनिटी को बहुत ज़्यादा टारगेट किया जाता है, तो इसमें काफ़ी वायलेशन लगातार होती है।
Pakistan ranks 139 out of 180 countries on rights group Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Index. US-based group Human Rights Watch (HRW) said media outlets in Pakistan remain under pressure to avoid reporting on or criticizing human rights violations during counter-terrorism operations.
We want justice! We want justice! We want justice!
The illegally occupied Gilgit-Baltistan is among the places which faces media blackout as Islamabad fears that free press will instigate the crowd to fight for their rights.
जो सोशल मीडिया पे कोई एक्टिविस्ट होते हैं उनको टारगेट किया जाता है और जो भी दूसरी कोई बिलीफ को जिससे स्कोर सेटल करना है उसको सेटल किया जाता है इस तरह के लॉज के साथ, ह्यूमन राइट्स का रिकॉर्ड बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब है और बहुत ज़्यादा डेथ्स वहाँ पे हो चुकी हैं और लगातार हो रही हैं.
During the first 10 months of 2017, more than 5,660 crimes were reported against women across the country. In Pakistan's most populous province Punjab alone, at least 2,980 rape cases were registered with the provincial police last year, an increase from 2,942 in 2016. In a case that sparked outrage and protests across the country, 7-year-old girl Zainab Ansari was raped and murdered in Gasur district near Lahore in January. Incidents of enforced disappearances, tortured and extrajudicial killings of political activists in Balochistan and Sindh provinces also raises concern over deteriorating human rights situation in Pakistan.
Moving on, tension has gripped at the Afghan-Pak border after clashes erupted between the border security forces at the Durand line. Afghan forces have killed 5 Pakistani soldiers and have arrested 1 after they violated the ceasefire international border norms. Newsweek South Asia has a report.
Afghan security forces have killed 5 Pakistani soldiers after clashes erupted at the Durand line. A Pakistani soldier has also been captured. The clashes broke out in 3 locations along the border in the early hours of April 15 after Pakistani paramilitary troops ignored repeated warnings from locals and Afghan border police officers and crossed the border. The Pakistani army said the Afghan side fired on the frontier corps fighters while they were carrying out routine surveillance along the border. Afghanistan routinely accuses the Pakistani army of attacking civilians and security checkpoints on the disputed border, accusations Pakistan denies. Pakistan claims it is subject to attacks by Pakistani Taliban militants that Islamabad says are based on the Afghan side of the border.
د سرحدي ځواکونو په ملاتړ سره هغه لویه دسیسه او توطیه چې نن یې پیل کړې وه هغه په کلي توګه شنډه شوې ده. دښمن سخت تلفات لري.
The two countries share a 2,500-kilometer border known as the Durand Line, which Pakistan considers to be an international border. Afghanistan rejects the colonial-era border that was created in 1893. In 2017, Pakistan said it began building a fence along the border to improve security, a move that sparked condemnations in Kabul. Pakistani forces have continued to build border fortifications, sparking numerous clashes along the border. The fencing has threatened to disrupt the daily lives of people living in communities that straddle the border. In some villages, mosques and houses reportedly have one door in Pakistan and another in Afghanistan.
Pakistan's survival depends on by creating tension with its neighbor. Pakistan is not a natural state. It's an artificially created country, and it takes decades or centuries to emerge into a nation. Pakistan has not been able to emerge as a modern nation state as yet. Therefore, it keeps trying. Its idea is to create tension with the neighbor, and in the name of conflict, it tries to unite its own people. It builds up anti-India, anti-Afghan, sometimes anti-other forces, to bring unity among the people in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan has always perceived threat from Pakistan when it was created. They believed that it would ultimately, in the name of Islam, would bring problem to their country. And exactly this is what happened, Pakistan has always had a desire to have a pro-Pakistani government in Kabul, and it is using religion to spread its influence. That is called strategic depth. That was the Pakistan's policy. So Pakistan never had a good ties with Afghanistan. Afghans had always been suspicious of Pakistan.
Pakistan has blamed Pakistani Taliban militants it says are based on Afghan soil for attacks that have taken place in the region over the past 2 years, urging Kabul to eradicate sanctuaries for militants. Afghanistan in turn accuses Islamabad of sheltering the leadership of the Afghan Taliban militants who are battling the Western-backed government in Kabul.
Pakistan or the elected prime ministers have visited Afghanistan, they have assured, that they will not interfere in their internal affairs. But, after their visit, they would come back to the same old game of infiltration and support to militants.
Pakistani Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi recently visited Kabul to discuss the fight against militancy and improve regional connectivity with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. However, the situation still remains unsettled as Pakistan Army and Pakistani Taliban continues to create turmoil in Afghanistan.
The Afghan-Pak border always remains tense as it provides access to Pakistani Taliban and Haqqani network to launch attacks in Afghanistan. Moving on to Pakistan, where the minority Christian community is constantly being targeted by the state and non-state actors. Recently, 2 members of Pakistan's beleaguered Christian community were killed by unknown gunmen just as they were leaving a local church. We have a report.
Pain and sorrow loom large among the Christian community in Pakistan's Quetta city as they continue to remain a target of the Islamic terrorist outfits. On April 15, unidentified attackers riding a motorbike opened fire on the members of the Christian community near a church and managed to flee the scene after the incident. 2 people were killed and 5 others were injured who were rushed to the Bolan Medical Complex. Police said the incident occurred when the worshippers were leaving after attending the Sunday service at the church in Esa Nagri area of Quetta city.
हमें इतला मिली कि ईसा नगरी चर्च के सामने फायरिंग हुई है। हम लोगों ने फौरी तौर पे ईडी एम्बुलेंसेस जायबुको के लिए रवाना किए। ये चर्च के सामने फायरिंग हुआ था। ये जो ज़ख्मी अफराद थे जिनका ताल्लुक मसीह बिरादरी से था और हम लोगों ने ज़ख्मियों को फौरी तौर पे बीएमसी हॉस्पिटल मुंतकिल किया। बाद अज़ा ज़ख्मियों में 2 की हालत नाजुक थी जो बीएमसी हॉस्पिटल में दम तोड़ गए और अब जामबाग 2 अफराद को ईदी एम्बुलेंसेस के ज़रिए ईदी नवाकिली मरकज़ में ईदी सरखाने में शिफ्ट कर दिया गया है।
Christians, who make up less than 2% of the Muslim majority Pakistan's 200 million people, have long faced discrimination and violence at the hands of the Islamic extremists. Earlier this month, 4 members of a Christian family travelling in a rickshaw were killed in a firing incident on Quetta's Shah Zaman Road. In December 2017, 9 people were killed and 30 injured in a suicide attack on the Bethel Memorial Methodist Church on Quetta's Zargun Memorial Road. The persecution of the Christian minorities in Pakistan has been raised several times at the United Nations Human Rights Council session.
That the name Islamic Republic of Pakistan, a complete and official name of a country where religious minorities are systematically persecuted. An Islamic Republic is the name given to several states that are officially ruled by Islamic laws. In Pakistan, once an individual is accused of blasphemy, he is presumed guilty, and the law fails to safeguard against people willing to use violence. Blasphemy law also creates atmosphere of religious intolerance and has contributed to the institutionalization of discrimination against religious minorities.
Even beyond these militant assaults, Pakistan state also targets Christians through its infamous blasphemy law, forcing the community to try and flee the country for safety. Those left behind are put in isolation for the sake of security, which makes it easier to identify and kill them. When it comes to blasphemy, the state participates in this bloodbath. But in other cases, domestic and foreign terrorist organizations that Pakistan can't control proudly announce their Islamic duty of exterminating a community that does not pay jizya or protection tax.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Mariam signing off on behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.